Hello, change makers. It's Amelía here from Know the Self Mystery School. And I wanted to jump on here tonight and talk about discerning truth. If you're watching the live feed, please like the video and say hello in the comments so I know you're here. I'm gonna go ahead and open the window so I can see you. You know, we're in a time where there's just so much chaos and gaslighting from our media outlets and our elected officials. And I'm curious how you guys are navigating. There's just so much to wade through. And I see like a huge division going on between these different like schools of thought. There's the people that sort of agree that there's a deadly virus and they're doing everything they can to like stay quarantined and to obey the rules and you know, wear their masks and following the numbers and all of that. And then there's the camp of folks that aren't really sure what this is, aren't really believing it. Maybe they're called conspiracy theorists, and there's like a polarization going on, and a lot of these people are kind of battling it out online and within their families, within their friend groups. Definitely see it all over social media. And hey, Michelle, I see you there. Thanks for saying hi. We see that, you know, people are sort of battling this whole thing out, we have to do our own investigation, right? We have to find our own sources of news and our own ways to navigate like what's true for us. So I wanted to really get clear about how you find that intuition. You know, I run the mystery school called Know the Self because this is a huge part of my journey. So as a child, I grew up in a born-again Christian cult with a lot of indoctrination. And at a very young age, I started questioning that indoctrination, questioning the things that I was being taught, and started to find holes in their theories and historical facts and figures and different sort of belief sets. I also had a compulsive liar sister and a best friend who was a compulsive liar. So that kind of made things a bit crazy in my day-to-day life. For example, you know, I would come home and I wouldn't be able to find, you know, my favorite piece of clothing. And I would ask my sister if she took it, and, you know, she would swear that she didn't have it. And I would think I'm crazy because I don't misplace things. And I was sure it was in my closet, you know, and I'd go back, and finally I would get such a strong hit, like, okay, she must be lying to me. So I'd go in her closet, and sure enough, I would find that item, and it would be ruined, and I would be disturbed and distressed. And I would go through this whole process of being like so wounded by the lie. So I want you guys to think about and how that felt for you. So I know for me, every time that I've realized that somebody has been lying to me, you know, we go through these levels of distress and disturbances. And I think for me, when I get clear with myself, I always sort of knew they were lying in the beginning, but I wasn't trusting that inner voice. I wasn't trusting that knowing, because I wasn't getting the feedback from the person in question. Like, for example, with my sister saying like, did you take this? And she would swear and say no, and she would swear on the Bible, and she'd swear on everything, you know, like she was such a good liar, and I would believe her. Even though I knew something didn't seem right within myself. So this is just a really small example, but what happened in your life where you found out someone was lying to you, and you, like, what was your process, your internal process when you discovered that? You know, I think so many people prefer to live in denial, and denial keeps people feeling safe. It keeps them from not wanting to really question things or not wanting to rock the boat or shake things up too much. They like to believe maybe small white lies, and that translate into large, you know, belief systems. I know for my mother, for example, like she's so indoctrinated in her religious stand that any kind of question that would have her question the validity of what she believes to be true, she just discards it as nonsense. So whenever we get rigid like that and we're not able to really like take a different perspective or look from a different angle, we're obviously blocking truth. We're not able to, like, real truth stands on its own. You could scrutinize and look at truth from so many angles, and when it's true, it just stands pure, right? That's what I've found. But it took me a long time to really honor my intuitive gifts. I had to have a lot of people lie to me and tell me that I'm crazy and that I'm making things up, or it started with guys in my relationships where I would innocently ask a question because I would get these visions and impressions, and I would see things. So I would say, oh, who were you with earlier tonight? And they would say, oh, I wasn't with anyone. I was like, oh, that's funny, because I saw this image, and it was very innocent in the way that I would ask, but they would get scared. And so I had one boyfriend who just would always lie because he was like, how does she know that? It was scaring him. He thought like I had some sort of surveillance on him. But it was just my hypersensitivity and my awareness. Because he would lie to me, then I would question myself, and I'd be like, huh, that's funny. Am I jealous, or am I, wow, where did that come from? Did I just make that up? Why did I make that up? Oh, and I would kind of just let it go. But as it started building up, I realized that what it was doing was training me to not honor my intuitive knowing, my inner sensory knowing. And I think that is what our media system, our education system, our political system, our healthcare system has been programming us to do from the beginning of its inception. So when we have an authoritative figure telling us what the truth is, we lose our capacity to discern truth for ourselves. So I want to encourage you guys to make sure that you're listening to your intuition. And I'm wondering if any of you watching have a way that works for you that you're doing that. I know one of the girls here in the group, Melissa, I don't know if you're watching, but she calls it her inner woosh. And I love that because she has retrained herself to not make decisions unless she gets the whoosh, or not kind of align with something until she gets that whoosh. For some people, it's like the chills. Some people just get a deep sense of knowing. So if you have a really fine-tuned intuition, kind of clarity bell, I get a high-pitched ringing. If whatever yours is, please type it in. I would love to hear, because I think we need to help each other restructure this and to own it. For me, every time that I disowned my intuition, life got a little bit more difficult. So I had to learn this the hard way, from questioning myself, wondering like, am I crazy? Am I making this up? Maybe, like I said before, am I jealous? Am I this or that? And I learned how to discern between my intuition and my like clear guidance from my soul. And when something is getting like to be sort of made up or conjured. So when people start meditating, they always ask me, how do I know that this is the truth, what I saw? Like you start to see maybe other worlds, other timelines. And one of my first meditation teacher, he's a Japanese older man, he's no longer with us, but he used to tell me, whatever you see in your meditation, trust it as the truth. And that was really hard for me because I thought that I was making up all of these incredible storylines. You know, I would be traveling to other worlds, having far out experiences, having past life experiences, very detailed and very often cathartic or somatic. You know, I'd really feel it in my body. And he said, trust it all as true, accept it all as true. And so I started to do that, and it helped me to really retrain myself to honor my internal knowing. And I look back at all the decisions that I've made in my life, and whenever I haven't really honored my internal knowing, it has come up later to prove it was accurate, right? So where are you guys discrediting yourself or discrediting that inner knowing, silencing it with reason, silencing it with old belief structures, or silencing it with like we have our parental kind of voices inside our head, or the cultural voices, or maybe it's some strong personality that you've adapted to, like your relationship, your maybe a mentor, maybe a guy, maybe it's a spiritual guide, like you're hearing their voice instead of your own. So we really need to come back to honor our own voice. And to do that, we have to sometimes unwind a lot of old conditioning. I want to welcome everyone who just joined. I see you, James. Aaron, Michelle, thank you guys for being here. And how do you guys discern truth? I would love to know. Go ahead and type it into the comments and ask a question if you want. There was another point I wanted to say. Oh, okay. I learned that, okay, it was through my relationships that I realized I'm really psychic, and that I have these abilities of strong intuition, or the sixth sense, or ability to often see between timelines, between other realities. And often that would make my partner very uncomfortable. And so they would make me think, oh, you're crazy or whatever. And as I started to regain my power and take my power back, I started to get angry, because I was like, wow, you made me think I was crazy for so long, or you made me think I was jealous, but actually this was really happening. And so I started getting angry, and then I got like the pendulum swung in the opposite direction. So instead of negating my intuition, I started being hypersensitive to it, or almost paranoid. And that's when I realized we have to find that balance. So when you first reclaim your intuition, you might be swinging on this pendulum of like, you had denied it so long that now every little thing is a sign, and you're making meaning. And you know, those people who get really, they're following synchronicity so much that they're kind of leaving their body, and they're a sign, and they're often running on some magical adventure. And maybe that's been you at some point. I know I've done that, or I've made more meaning out of something than maybe was the truth. So what happens when there's a little bit of truth and then a lot of energy is it's no longer true, right? So we can have that sprinkling of truth and then a ton of fear, or a ton of anxiety, or a ton of grief around it. And then we lose the singular truth. that's what we see in our media right now. So it's called gaslighting. And sometimes we gaslight ourselves, where we make something like so strong and sensational that we kind of lose sight of the actual truth. We can't stand in the middle and stay the course and just make clear choices. We start getting thrown from this attraction and aversion, like running towards something because we believe, you know, this is the right way. Or people, you see people get on the spiritual, like have a spiritual awakening, and then they think they're the Messiah, or they think that they're needing to like save humanity, right? And they go on this kind of crusade to bring everyone with them, or to save people. And that's them having swung to the opposite polarity. So just check yourself, see if you're doing that, and know that that's just part of the process. I mean, just like when we go through the levels of ripping the Band-Aid off from something we've been lied to, and we have to go through these different stages, like of grief, right? Of the shock and the denial and the sadness and the loneliness, and then we can finally make meaning out of it and accept it, and then, you know, hope comes back, right? So it's the same with our intuition. So just notice where you're at on that spectrum. And if you're really wanting to master your energy and fine-tune your gifts and bring them out into the world, please check out my website, knowtheself.com. And you can join the Mystery School to activate your mission and really fine-tune your inner navigation system. I have a bunch of activations in there that help you learn how to hold your energetic body so you can let go of all the old programs, the old ways of being that have been placed on you, or that you've inherited, or that you've accepted, so you can get back to the singular truth. Okay, so let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.